So rather than thinking of the Dorian as a scale that we're just gonna run over, what if we think of it like a sound that we would like to gain control? We're not gonna talk about 7 note positions or like modal theory dump, etc. What we're gonna do is how to hear, how to visualize the shape, and how to apply the Dorian mode and ideas rooting from it in a musical context. Let's say we are taking C as our tonal center, okay? So that's C right there. Now, a Dorian scale is essentially a natural minor scale, but the sixth is a natural, okay? So we got root, major second, minor third, fourth, fifth, major six, minor seven, and back to the root. Okay, and if you watch my previous videos, I always tell people to really at least learn it across 2 octaves. So another octave would be that. Okay. Anyway, so now when we are playing this, of course, clearly it has a particular sound, right? That sound is what we are going to first of all try and work with. Now, what does the scale actually sound like? To me, it's like a really cool kind of sound, often very jazz fusion like, or maybe a little psychedelic rock kind of sound. One of my earliest memories of hearing this sound back when I didn't really even know what Dorian was. There's certain songs of Pink Floyd where you have this sound. It's pretty common. Like for instance, "Home, Home Again," that particular song. That's literally a Dorian progression over there. The first thing to really understand is that the characteristic of the Dorian mode, the characteristic note of this particular mode, is that natural six that we mentioned. Let's hear it again. Root, major second, flat third, 4, 5, natural six. If you want the syllables for it, they're gonna be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do, te, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Clearly, this 6 is the characteristic tone of this particular mode, and that is what creates that particular sound. So rather than treating this, let's say, as some kind of a minor scale, we'll just see it as Dorian. Let's just see the mode slash scale for what it actually is, which is it's a tonal center. I'm going to highlight this particular sixth in a few different ways. Okay, so let's first of all just create a drone using this particular C note. So that's my drone right there. Now, let's hear this scale by itself first, okay? So clearly, unless that sixth is played intentionally, it doesn't really sound like Dorian, does it? If you end up emphasizing more on the flat 3 and the flat 7, that can be taken as Aeolian or Phrygian as well. So it's very important to really outline that particular natural 6 to really maintain that particular tonality. Before playing it, I think what we were doing, where we've just learned the particular shape, right, of the scale, and then we were trying to sing it. It's pretty useful to sing the particular scale or any particular scale using these syllables, because these syllables act as a form of context for you to create a sound in your head, right? Because when it comes to playing or just making music in general, it's almost like these syllables are helping you create a visual of that particular interval in your mind, and your eyes are creating that particular visual aspect on the fretboard. singing or even mentally at least trying to place the sixth against the tonic, like what I just did, where I freeze that particular tonic and I was playing over that really helps. Another way of practicing this would be, I'm going to create the drone again. Cool. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the root, flat third, and natural six. Okay, root and flat third because we gotta hear the tonic. Flat third because we gotta bring in the minor tonality. Natural six because that is the characteristic note. Okay, so root C, flat third is E flat, and then natural six is A. Okay. Let's try this across another octave. And it of course helps if you sing the syllables along with it, right? So do me la me do. So now I think when it comes to modal playing in general, we often try to chase the chord changes, but in modal music, like modal jazz, let's say tunes like So What or Impressions, both these tunes are essentially just two modal vamps. They're just two key changes. Now, in such a case, rather than really chasing the chord changes, you can actually create lines using this particular scale, because you know that this particular chord change, which is not even there because it's a modal vamp, is quite literally based on the sound of that particular mode. For instance, listen to the head of So What. It's like, so that's the complete head for the tune, right? And while I was playing that, you could quite clearly hear that it's really just the sound of D Dorian and E flat Dorian. And you're really just going between these two particular keys. So this is a great tune to work on, right? Because you can always practice over like a static vamp or whatever, and sure, that's cool, maybe some kind of funky backing track. But if you really play tunes and learn heads to tunes which are related to what you're learning, that usually creates good context based vocabulary, which you can always try using on other kinds of music as well. When it comes to visualizing the sound, one really common progression in Dorian is a 1 minor and a 2 minor. So if we go back to the key of C, your chords are going to be a C minor and D minor. So choose any inversion of a C minor. Let's say I choose the second inversion of C minor and second inversion of D minor, right? This particular sound is really giving you the sound of that particular chord. And the reason for that is this natural six, the A note, happens to be a chord tone of that 2 minor chord. So all you're doing is you're going from the tonic chord to a subdominant chord, back to the tonic chord, to the subdominant, tonic, subdominant. Right? It's not like it has a strong tendency to resolve back, but you can use this to step out of that tonic and come back again. Right? So clearly, if you try to use any inversion of this particular triad in the form of an arpeggio, you end up creating lines, right? And when you try using different kinds of rhythmic ideas over that, you end up creating even more lines by using uh, a small number of notes, right? Just three notes. So let's say I am trying to create something with. I broke that particular pattern just to make it sound a bit more musical. Now, this is my framework. And let's say I have come up with a rhythm like pa da da pop 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 do tap pa da da pop 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 do tap pa da da pop 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 pa da 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 pop pop pop. I can permutate that pa da da pop pop pa di pa da da pop pop pa di pa da da pop pop di pa da da pop pop and so on, and that ends up creating some kind of an idea. You can use longer notes, you can always sustain notes like so here that was the sound of D minor triad. So yeah, you can really go between these two triads and arpeggios to create more interesting ideas, right? And that will create another level of depth in hearing that particular sound in your system. Rhythm defines modal clarity. What I mean by that is, in case of modal vamps, since it's usually maybe a two chord vamp or like a one chord vamp, you don't really have much harmonic information to work with, right? So you try to apply the concept of less is more by using phrases you've worked on from the Dorian scale and using different kind of rhythmic playfulness. Let's say I think of this tune called Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. It sounds like this. Now I'm gonna steal that rhythm. You can always try using different combinations of notes from the particular scale and apply these rhythms, and you'll just come up with more and more ideas. Now I'm gonna give like four blunt examples of certain mistakes I feel we guitar players specifically make about the Dorian. Number one, playing the Aeolian, that habit of playing the Aeolian. You really got to get out of it. You got to practice the Dorian scale and sing the syllables enough. And when I say enough, I mean at least a few hundred times until it naturally starts sounding like you naturally start hearing that natural six in your head. So it's got to be that solid. Let's say you have that solid. The next problem is overusing that six now, right? So it's important to understand it's a characteristic note and it's a modal sound. So it doesn't mean that you always have to play the six. It's just that it's like creating a little hook line kind of a thing, right? Like make sure that the natural six sounds like a hook. Maybe you're playing something on the lines of a pentatonic scale, but in between, just play that natural six once. Yeah, that's it. Third thing, which is pretty common, is running patterns instead of phrasing your ideas. It's pretty natural for us guitar players to really practice patterns instead of actual musical ideas, because that's just somehow that is just how we're wired, I guess, or that's just somehow what a lot of people end up learning, thinking about, or a lot of people end up teaching. But really, the end goal is to think and perform like a sax player would, like a singer would, like a violin player would, etc. They know when to breathe, and us guitar players should really learn something from that. And finally, treating Dorian like a jam track kind of trick. It's a pretty easy way of really jamming with people, and I think that's beautiful, honestly. But it can also become a huge mistake for us guitar players because it's pretty fun to do, and it can be very addictive, and we end up just doing that. So you really need to control yourself from doing that. Make sure you move out of that. I know I've done that before, and I've learned from my mistakes the hard way. So please don't make the same mistakes that I did, and please don't make the same mistakes that many other people do. How to practice this? Number one, maybe 5 minutes of turning on a drone and focusing on the intervals. Focus on hearing and singing the intervals while playing them at the same time. Make sure your guitar is in tune, of course. Then spend some more time practicing the triads based out of the Dorian scale. After that, rhythmic development. Okay, rhythmic development is always great to work on. And lastly, like I've mentioned in a lot of my videos, record yourself and listen back to it at least half an hour later. Learn from what you have recorded, retranscribe things that you like, fix things that you don't like. Don't throw away ideas, for sure. When it comes to practicing, definitely start with a slow tempo. I feel it's very important to internalize rhythm, and definitely do not start off with a backing track. Be able to play on time with a metronome first, then use a backing track. I know it can be boring, but it's worth it. It's worth it to really do the boring stuff. So clearly, it's not about knowing more notes. It's really about choosing the right ones and placing them honestly. Please be honest about your playing. Don't be a faker. Okay, there are many fakers out there. If you've come this far in the video, thank you for watching. A like would be great. A subscribe would be even better, and a share would be amazing. And if you have any further questions, if you wanna say something to me, comment down below. And lastly, I am a full-time music educator, apart from being a performer. So if you want to take private lessons with me, my details are in the description box below, and I'm also gonna put it somewhere here on the screen, maybe here, there, wherever. You will see it. You'll definitely see it. Get in touch with me. You can call or WhatsApp me. You can email me, and I'll share the details, and we'll work out our timings, and we'll have a good time. Okay? I teach all kinds of stuff. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I'm Shubharaj Ghosh. I'm signing off. Bye bye.